Hey folks, Nick Tuckert here with the Historical Fencing Guild. Before we get into tonight's program, we have a little bit, we have to pay the bills. So we are made possible in part with the good support of our good friends over at the Independent Creator Directory. That's IndieCD.org, your one-stop shop for the best and the brightest authors, artists, and musicians. We are also made possible, shockingly, by the Simple Sword, the Fighting Axe, and the Simple Spear, all part of my ongoing series of Western martial arts manuals designed to help you go from having never handled the sword to teaching the art to others. And of course, my other assorted books. But most importantly, we are made possible by my amazing Patreon patrons, who, without them, I could not afford to do the things I do. I could not order trainers to be reviewed. I could not set up the list field as I want to. There's just a whole process, and none of that could happen without you guys. So I want to shout out Off in the Woods, Frog G, Ronald Riehn, Bladed Thesis, Brian K. Morris, Cindy Koepp, Steve Agosto, Don Dulas, Angelina Vaquera-Linke, and Trilaina, and Joe Bachman. And should say and Joe in there. I'll have to fix that in a minute. But Joe knows he's loved, or he better by now. All right, guys, we have some stuff. I am really excited because the second practice of the year is tomorrow. So a lot of it has been prepping the house and trying to get some things moving and motivated to make that better. Prepping the yard is interesting because, again, we have been on it's going to rain every other day arc. So it has been essentially small term bush hogging. Now, if I can't get it down between now and probably next weekend, I might be able to call in a bush hog to level everything and start over. I'm going to, because I pulled all the ropes down, I'm going to measure off a slightly smaller list field than I did, and there's a good reason for this. I am saving up because there is a 20 by 20 basically awning. It's a carport, and it's available through Walmart. I want to say it's either Walmart or Amazon, but I'm pretty sure it's a Walmart. So my plan is to save up and get this thing, and then yes, it will be only a 20 by 20 list field, so it will be relatively small, but with that framework, it will be much easier to mount overhead lighting, so we're not blinding each other with the glory of the modified shop lamp lights. Yeah, I can speak. And once that's up, I can highlight some of the other aspects I want available down there. We are just so close. It's delightful. We may have some temporary mulch this year. For that, because it's one of those I can either afford to save up enough to get the mulch covering, or I can try to save up enough to get the tent. And I think, given weather and the sun and the heat, trying to save up as for the 20 by 20 tent is going to be the big priority. So, once again, a lot of work. I am trying to find out if I can get the details of my my order to track the package, because I do have some things coming in. I am so very excited to play with and review, including 4 of the stiletto training daggers by Purple Heart Armory. And I have to do that because there is no way we're not going to want to do at least one double dagger bout with those things to see how they work. Let's see. Order date. It says it has all shipped because I want to track it, if it will let me. And that way I have an idea when it's showing up, because there's always the chance it could show up tomorrow. which would delight me. Monday, June 2nd. So it won't be this practice. I really tried to get it here in time, but it's coming by UPS, and that's just going to be what it's going to be. Let me see. I need to do that. Sorry, I realized I never printed off the invoice for my tax stuff. But okay, there we go. I want to say 5/18 was the date. Yep, 5/18. Because I will probably be putting in additional orders as my funds recover. But I think everybody would rather me, any of the active guild members would rather me do that. Focus on trying to get the awning. You know what I'm talking about. I have a few other planning plans in the works. I have one small project we need to do, but it won't be this weekend because I am fully booked this weekend. I also will be doing a special art stream, which you won't hear about unless I talk about it here. June 13th. It's a Saturday. Hold on. And I will be using that as, in part, a fundraiser, doing live on air commission work. And I hope that works for you guys, because that will be a way for me to again earn a little bit more money to offset the costs of everything I am doing out back, because I really want to turn that. My dream has always had to have my backyard be a cross between Inman's Family Fun Center and an SCA event. So I want a lot of things that were permanent, were temporary and improvised. I want to solidify and make permanent, because a big part of me, when I step out of the Swordmaster role and step into the Guildmaster role more, is just establishing the facilities how I want them. I'm finally of a health level to do that. I may not be of a financial level, but we're working towards that. So, along with that, I've been perusing the Chinese technique book that I got from Thesis, and I have been delighted in what I have seen. It takes parsing, and I will be establishing a whole notebook for it and deep diving that, unless Trey wants to look at it, and then I will pass it off on her as soon as I remember where I set it. The joys of attempting to working clean versus actually succeeding. Organization has always been my weakness. Now, beyond that, I haven't seen a lot of things popping up of great significance. I did get some questions on some of the videos, and my patrons actually got to see one of the videos from last week's practice. We're hoping to capture more content for this week's practice that we could then share there, because I think that would be obviously the optimum thing to do, and then we could share it here as applicable. The second video for reasons of the ending was not shared. I may do an edit, but I need new video editing software, so I will be looking for the best versions of that. I also will be taking questions. Let's see what else has been going on related to the guild. One of the big things going on is the young lady who I believed was going to be a student uh, next year will likely be joining the military before she can come out and actually participate. This is a tragedy. However, it does mean that I'm going to be letting a copy of The Simple Sword go her way just because in she is in physical training for the military. I might as well do what I can to facilitate uh, her health. And if I can support the troops, I will always do things to support the troops. I believe supporting the troops is separate from supporting the government. Whatever you want to believe about the government, you can have that discussion. But supporting the troops is necessary. I am not sick. We do have a massive cottonwood uh, doom cloud hanging over us. And there is a large storm kind of barreling at the property as we speak. So I may get cut off at any point. If I am okay. It's not my intention, but that does happen. Now, I'm going to cut to the comments real quick. And we're going to see what's going on here and any questions or comments you have. Evening all. Good evening, Thesis. Hey, Foxy Zombies in. Excellent. Yeah, I just woke up from a nap a little while. Zombie mode is a thing. Oh, God. I had some green room remarks I am not making. And so did we. Well, a little hour ago, but still. Yep. It's been a good day to nap. I had to do some shopping to be ready for tomorrow. So Maddie was cleaning, and the level of allergen was more than I was comfortable with. So I had to go out for a while. Something very similar will probably be happening Sunday, although that's a planned outing for me. Same. Still groggy, though. Howdy. Well, we can always do things to wake you up, Trey. And so thanks for the video yesterday morning, Trey. I had to find the full movie, and I found it on Tubi and Prime. Nice. Crab and shrimp style made me giggle. Wonderful. That sounds great. And hello, Dawn. Hi. And we got Thesis, and we got greetings. And huzzah! Hello, Dave. That's Houston, Texas, Dave. The one and only. And hello, Dark Moon Miracle. And hey, Dark Moon. And hello, Trey. How have you been faring this week? We've got everybody checking in. Everybody wants to know how you're doing. Take this with a grain of salt. I'm happy it is allergies. Understood. Allergies very much suck, but they are better than what it could be going around. Now, speaking of practice, Trilaina, you will be able to play with my new staff. Behave, y'all. The polypropylene staff that I got by Ibogu is a trainer I have been waiting for decades for somebody to make in the way they made it. I really see most of us who have the means acquiring one of these. They are a bit. It weighs 1.5 pounds, according to the shipping. And if you are using it, you can use it quite effectively for actual self-defense applications, to the point I may just be getting feet for it, because it is likely far sturdier than the wooden staff that I use that Trilaina gave me. Although the that walking stick is my favorite, and it has a lovely, I'm going to say, a leather string. I know the term for it, and I also know you guys won't let me get away with it. But that I can use to kind of custom help me support how I have to support myself when I'm using my staff. I also tend to hang things off of it that are useful. But I had some questions that were sent to me from someone in the Patreon and some subscribers. So I wanted to address them. Uh, I have to look up the gentleman's name, but there is a very instructive MMA fight trainer, martial arts coach fellow, whose name I don't remember, who keeps giving the best advice from a striking standpoint and a moving standpoint that covers really well what we do with swords. Because understanding the strikes of simple boxing will tell you a lot about how to fence, especially in the very linear styles that many of us do. Um, Obviously, the way we play the sport locally, the kicks and takedowns and things don't apply. But I've worked with people who have moved on to groups like Boher, where flying tackle type situations in full armor um, absolutely apply. So understanding that is a remarkable uh, option. Now, I am a little delayed in my upload, but I have another whole stack of Western martial arts papers I have to go through that are just some truly amazing works on the subject. Subject. We start over. That are referencing the subject material that we do. So I am really delighted to hear that. It's finding different ways to cover similar concepts is really important, because the more you read, the more you can find what will resonate with you to give you understanding. This is part of why we cross train. Um, why it's so important to never be too encapsulated in a single style. Now, there's going to be a period where you are learning the basics, especially of any given style, that you have to be, and you have to keep that code, that mindset locked in till it becomes second nature. Um, how do you have to know the rules to break the rules? That's the difference between being a smart butt and a dumb butt. And I really want us to keep that in mind. The other thing is, you do not need to touch a fire to get burned. That means if you are watching bouts, and you can find streaming bouts from assorted groups. Many of them, what is it, Armored MMA, I believe is the name of the group, that Amanda and Stephen Hatt are in. Hello, Kitty. But watching how the different styles fight is very important. And that's my biggest beef with the vast majority of traditional Chinese and Japanese martial arts is it is very rare that you see them actually crossfight trading. And that's what MMA originally was supposed to be. And if you can, and you want really interesting bouts, I recommend looking up the early MMA championships. You can find them on like YouTube. That was a period before you had the codification of what most people consider MMA fighting styles. The BJJ. So you saw what you had was pure karate guys going against pure BJJ guys, or mostly quote unquote pure single style focused individuals. And that's when you get a really neat understanding of what works and doesn't really switches around. You find a lot of that with Aikido, because there are a lot of very fluffy uh, meditative practitioners of Aikido who train it very similar to the way Tai Chi is usually trained. Usually and currently, Tai Chi is a martial art that it seems like a great many forces have tried to defang. Pardon me. A little bit of low blood sugar. Not bad, but I was running around. So if you want to learn about the different styles and you're interested, I really, really heartily recommend you look into these things. Thesis has put up a book, Mysterious Footworks, Kung Charles, and that it's an Amazon link to a book. I didn't think that was the title of the one you sent me, but I'm always interested, and I am again always interested in cross-referencing things. I'm also fighting desperately not to get into the siege engine book that our lovely Don Dulas sent us, because I really want to build a trebuchet. Actually, I really want to build a version of a Roman ballista called a Scorpion. Give me just one moment. That was not something you wanted to necessarily hear. And I will be fine by tomorrow because I'm still reacting to the dust that's kicked up in here, and the rain should pull most of the external stuff out of the air. Still, we're moving forward. So I do look forward to seeing Trilaina and possibly Amanda. Amanda has yet to really play with the staff. Now we're working on a few things for Amanda. So hopefully between this current practice and next, if we can encourage her to be motivated, we might get her Pell made. And I would very much like that for her. I would love to get a hold of some of my SCA heavy friends once the list field is up and things are proper, and see if I can't get a demo put together that we can air on the Historical Fencing Guild to show heavy fighting. Trilaina and I need to play proper patty cake with steel. We haven't done that in a long time. And I'm really looking forward to, by the end, I'm looking forward to this fall when hopefully our situation has been so improved as to really make it what I want. That so I can start looking back and really seeing that this vision that is in my head is being made manifest. Because once I get the facilities up, even if I am having a day where my limitations may be acting up because of the weather or a fall or something like that, I can still provide use and be present for instruction and related arts in a friendly, open, outside environment. So that's what I'm working towards. There may be actual fencing options in the future. I'm still trying to get the information from the town. So I may have to get on and just be like, can you please send me all the ordinances about how fences work in this area, and then get it surveyed and get a fence up, not for any privacy concerns, but more for bystander safety and to make animal interference less likely. But that's down the pipe too. If there are any projects the local members would like me to either plan ahead for or would like to participate in doing, I would love to get more permanent seating out there. I'm thinking the easiest way will be to simply build it. So there may be a guild uh, construction day for anyone interested in participating. And I know the thing that Joey and Trey, of all people, most want to do is be involved in building and construction projects on their time off. But that can't happen until I manage to scrounge some materials. Uh, I have some ideas on that front as well. So that's the trick. Sometimes I have to step back from the fun of I want to get out there and fight. I want to get out there and play. I would desperately want to throw knives. I haven't shot an arrow in far too long. Uh, I want to do other physical training techniques. But right now, I have to focus on the practicalities of my day to day and facilitating what my existing guild members need. So I do want to have permanent outdoor pels, permanent outdoor fencing targets, uh, again, thrown weapons and archery targets with proper backstopping. Uh, a few other things that will be constructive projects in my yard, but not directly related to the fencing guild, but they will overlap. And once I do that, I want seating. And it does kill me because I watch with my lovely wife, whom I adore, a large number of Chinese costume dramas. And you guys know this. These settings these aren't sets like you would describe as a movie set. These are very solid constructed things for the most part. Some of them are actually in historical recreations. Some of them are on actual sets. But it inspires me to upgrade in certain matters. So there will be in my dream version of this, there's a very Asian fusion to what I want to do back there. For example, I would love to set up some of the concrete lanterns and then have the concrete lantern around modern solar lighting techniques so that you have a little bit of the old and a little bit of the new. Crossing aesthetics so that multiple systems work. This is partially why I want to get my smithing up so that I can actually craft not only weapons and gear and riggings, but to craft like the custom hooks and things to hold swords and the mechanical parts for things like crossbows or other interesting tools and devices. And yes, even small siege weapons. Miniature siege weapons could be fun. They'd have to be awfully miniature, but as long as we're using tennis balls or equivalent as our munitions, it shouldn't be too bad. And again, that's something I desperately need to hear from the see that. Oh, okay, cool. Thank you. I just got a beta test for an object that lets me put your comments and have them pop up right over here. That'll make things a lot better for the viewer, because many times I'm just responding to the comments. And if the viewers can see the comments, then I don't have to necessarily read them out loud. So that gives us something good to work with. This was a mechanic I very much wanted, so that makes me happy. Longest Day in Chang'an was an excellent sea drama. They literally rebuilt a section of the Tang Dynasty capital city for the show. Cool. And I'm really hoping to have elements. Well, I realized, well, that's part of why I am running this format to see if they are visible, because theoretically, if I'm not running commercials with the comments up like that, I can have my screen full size, not worry about what's going on in the background, and see better what I'm working on. You know, how I look, my background, my other things that I can't see when I am outside of full screen. So this is really nice. And a lot of it depends on what device you're watching or streaming to. Being able to have that also makes me less looking like I'm looking way over here, and a little more screen centered on the comments. So that helps. Now, I kind of got off topic because I was sort of dreaming with my eyes open about how and what I'd like to do with the backyard and things, which will be done after I get the surveyors to mark everything off and 811 to mark anything that I can't dig into that they know about. I have to be careful with the way drainage and stuff are set up in the house, on the property, but we still can do a lot of building up. So I'd like to do pathing. I'd like to do eventually rubber mulched areas for fighting and things. I'd like to have multiple areas, so we have, you know, the list field is set up, and then people can obviously go and fight and do trainings over there. Have an open area that's a little better for melee work, and I pretty much know where that needs to be. It will have to be like lawn rolled, so that nobody trips and falls. But and that movie isn't on Prime anymore. Well, that's too bad. I'll have to check later to see if it's on for Americans. I would never suggest using a VPN to hop countries, though. So that's what I'm planning with the list field and backyard. And I guess people want to see pictures and plans and stuff. If that is something you guys are interested in, let me know in the comments. Hit me up directly. I could even do a pre-recorded video, and maybe as a series. This is what we've worked on so far for as the yard develops. If I can find a way to inexpensively, actually, I have a way to make plaques or something. I may offer to sell, plaque space on different parts of the yard to both my Patreon members and people who donate directly. Because I do know some people really don't like going through services like Patreon. But that's that. I had a question about my plastron. And the question was this, and it was really delicately phrased for my sake, and I appreciate it. And what they said was they are concerned because when I wear a plastron, because of the way I'm currently built, it tends to gap a little bit in the front and not cover my belly very well. If it were intended as armor, that would be a serious problem. And I still don't like it. I'm going to have to make my own plastron. But that's something that's been in the works for a while, too. We'll just see how that goes. Oh, hello, Sarah. But Unfortunately, most fencing gear is built for people who are relatively slender and relatively of certain heights and stuff. So it actually covers more than it needs to, because what I need with my plastron is a little bit past my sternum and fit here. However, um, I would like better protection. So in the new gear or modifying my current gear, I will actually be incorporating possibly a pocket where I can just slide the plastic in and get the kind of coverage and protection I need. So I'm looking, that is my plan. But good eye, yes, I can and have taken shots that have gone up under it. It's a case of me fighting my obesity, and it is a challenge. It is a fight I've been on for quite some time. At my peak weight, I was over 400 pounds. I am currently three something or other. I want to say 350, 375, 378, somewhere in there last time I checked. Uh, I expect that to drop as summer progresses because I'm going to be doing a lot more and the medication has more time to work. Uh, so stuff isn't going to look as good on me as it could for a lot of people. That's the reality. I will, like I said, I need probably to make a better breastplate as a concept because we really are hybrids in how we fight. We are somewhere between the light fencing, light fencing, or actually between light fencing, the heavy fencing, like the Schlagers and stuff, and what I would consider heavy combat. Uh, thank you for the weight loss comment, uh, Sarah. It's been a battle, and it is a battle every day, and I'm going to keep battling it. I do an hour of drills, and then my physical therapy balance out to an hour of, for me, intense training. For people of a healthier, it wouldn't be, but it's all about working at the level where you're supposed to be. And congratulations, Foxy! I don't want anyone to get any body dysmorphia. I am not worshiping slenderness. Uh, but I am trying to get healthier because I want to do what I love and I want to be around as long as possible to take care of Xander and be there with my lovely wife and take care of you guys. I have a lot of tasks that I am useful for, and as long as I am useful, I am holding a lot of ground. And the only way any of this is going to improve is if I can continue this slow, kind of agonizing progress system. So that is in the cards, hopefully. And again, when I hit my limitations or the assorted damage catches up to me, um, I am making sure that uh, the changes will be in such a way to better facilitate the eventual changes they say I will need. Um, Now, they've been saying I'm going to need these changes for 20 some odd years, and I've fought it off uh, tooth and nail. So I may get one over on them for a while, but I'm always thinking ahead. And you're right, Dark Moon, consistency is key, and it just There is no way around a certain level of the suck. You have to embrace the suck. In that, if you are training at a level you should be training, it will be at least mildly uncomfortable. Now, I'm not saying hurt yourself. I'm certainly not saying damage yourself. That does no good. But you have to be outside of your comfort zone to grow. Uh, be it physically or emotionally. I truly believe that tears are the viscosity of tears uh, is what makes change possible. And it's that transition. So we barrel through the transitions to reach the points of transformation on that front. And that's solid thesis. That seems like solid health. Now I will tell you they tweak the numbers almost annually because for medical industry it is more valuable. It is more profitable. That is for for people to be considered sicker. What I want you guys to do in discussion of that is focus on capabilities. And what works, what do you want to do? Appearance doesn't matter. What do you want to be able to do and work towards that? Appearance will come one way or another. Uh, and you are fine, Sarah. You have not stuck your foot in your mouth, despite your flexibility to do so. No, you did mention something that stung a little bit, but that's okay. Uh, Life is a series of meetings, partings, and reunions. And what will be on a certain level will be. I can look at most situations from the, if I am honestly trying to do my best to help people, then I can move forward without regret. I may grieve a person's presence in my life, but I can also look and go, I don't regret the actions that put us there. If I'm even interpreting what you were saying, Sarah, I may be misinterpreting, but so that answers that question. And yeah, being too skinny is a problem too. 100 pounds look like a homeless. 110 pounds look like a homeless slave for far too many years. Still think I'm too skinny, but Thesis and Foxy seem to like how I look. And dysmorphia goes many ways, and it's something that affects a lot of people as a sideline who come into what we do. Uh, that's why, again, if you focus on capacity and being healthy, making sure you have enough energy to do what you need to do and doing things, uh, that will guide you well. And whatever form your body takes to be capable of doing what you want to do, if you are doing it properly, it will be there will be an aesthetic there. It may not be your specific aesthetic, but it will be there. One of the greatest things that I ever heard was told to me by a friend who is very, very bisexual. One moment. And what they said was, you might not like the body you see in the mirror because you are not your own type. And isn't that a liberating thought? It's not that you're ugly or you're uh, obese or excessively skinny or whatever your personal hangups are. I have quite a few, especially considering the conditions I have. Uh, but that just means when I look in the mirror, I'm not my type. Apparently, Mandy likes me, and a few others do. So, that's a thing. But it can be challenging. And that's something we have to be aware of. Now, one thing I have found, if you are looking at the way your body is going to take shapes, because I have done, at points in my life, I have been quite fit. And at points in my life, I have been very, very unfit. But when you are doing calisthenics, especially when you are working with your body weight and repetition and you just give yourself the time, the results do tend to be very aesthetically pleasing. I find it far more so than building mass with weightlifting or something like that. But that's my observation. I am not really into the pursuit of hypertrophy. Uh, I am about capacity, and I am loving the love you are showing each other. And Sarah, I don't. I don't. I know what that's like. I haven't recognized myself in the mirror for a very long time. Uh, and parts of it were medicine, and parts of it were other things. But we we still have to work through. And I do heartily encourage all of you to speak with your medical care providers about these kind of things, especially reactions to medicines and reactions to, because I had some really bad reactions myself. Uh, a lot of this was a secondary result of my sleep apnea, actually, uh, and again some other conditions. It is really hot in this room right now, but we we need to be around people who appreciate us and see us in a positive light, because many of us can't see ourselves in that. A lot of what we're doing in our training has little to do with the offensive and the external, and has to do with arming the self, arming the part of us on the inside that has to battle the part of us that is full of hatred and self loathing, and the part of us that carries scars. Uh, and you have to move through it. But one great thing is the kind of people that I tend to attract tend to be the people who are on this journey at one point or another. And by having the kind of conversations and the connections that are made through what we do, we tend to make a wave and support each other. And that's important. it is important that this is never in the shape of a pyramid, that it's always in the shape of like a spider web. Everybody talking to everybody else, everybody connected to everybody else, everybody learning from and teaching everybody else. Uh, I just like to every so often pulse ideas, pulse philosophies through this web to let it rattle through and encourage you to have conversations like what might be going on both in the chat and internally in some of you. Because certain people and life in many ways has a tendency to steal your power. There are people and forces out there right now that will work very hard to remove as much of your personhood as possible. And in doing so, you become easier to control. And what I want to do is build everyone up enough to be able to be individuals and stand up for what you believe in and do what you believe is right with as much kindness in your heart and logic in your mind as possible. And that's something that I find vitally important. Not just minorly, not just a bit, but actually vitally important. So that's something we're working towards. In the end, when you do this long enough, when you sword fight long enough, when you get out and you drill long enough, you're going to find the only opponent is yourself. The only opponent is the part of you that is sitting on the couch and wants to just give up. The part of you that wants to walk the basest part of what you do. And the only way you're going to move forward closer to what you can be is by facing that part head on and at times fighting it. And then at points, you almost have to accept it as part of you. You have to realize that's there and embrace it. It's very strange. And it is a long journey to walk to get there. But it does make better things possible. So we need to work towards that. It's not just about learning how to parry or to hold a sword or how to, deal with multiple opponents. It's about how to gain the confidence and clarity of thought to do so. Hi, Churro. Lovely people. Lovely to be here now. Don't think whether you think so or not. I'm not entirely sure where this conversation is, but I think you're all lovely people. Well, we are dealing with I had some questions pointed at me, and I get people who very often will send me questions through Messenger, where they want to ask, but they don't necessarily want to come up in the YouTube chat, or they will send me questions that they want to see before the show. And that is what we do. This stream was originally built and kind of connected for the local people to be able to talk and plan and support each other over distance. Oh, you're fine. You did great, Churro. You are handling things perfectly. And trust me, you are among your people. I will say on the chance that there are people who are watching this stream and haven't uh, encountered Churro yet, Churro is a minor. Uh, I can't remember offhand if it's she or they, so I'm going to say they to be safe. Are one of my D&D players from one of the teens from the library program I do. Uh, that's a big part of what I'm doing and why I do it, because I want. God, I keep finding this, but when I joined, uh, and I first started in certain things, uh, uh, I my first instructor was an unkind person. Uh, Intelligent, yes. Competent in his way, yes. But often cruel, very angry, and very bigoted in certain ways. And I work very hard to ensure, whenever possible, I am not that. So, you know, they would train uh, people with a direct and deliberate flaw so they could beat them later. I teach you guys my tells very early on. Uh, they were very uh, selective about uh, who was worthy of uh, the blessings of their training. And I'm saying there to try to minimize the ability to reference them because that person I find so loathsome, I don't want them even to get confirmed credit of my disregard. But that's why I did what I did, and I developed a style that could be the basis of as many other styles as possible to make a better fencing elementary level instead of trying to refine the peak. Everybody's trying to refine the peak. Everybody who does that and gets into it wants to find the perfect shot, the perfect proper movement. Anybody who studies it at that level is trying to find the timing that will always win, the unblockable shot. I'm trying to find something I can teach everybody that gives them a basis enough that they can go to any manual in any style, and as long as they can, you know, physically, mentally read the inscribed techniques or watch the videos or just watch somebody actually demonstrating their ability, whether it's in the middle of an actual conflict or an observed, demonstration or an observed tournament. I want to give you guys a foundation and then teach you how to see. And then what you look at will shape you. Uh, and in your case, Jerome, because I know more of your situation than a lot of people, but not as much as I probably could. Uh, you are at an age where you have a lot of the desires. I'm so sorry. I tried to reach for the mute. The the desires, the hopes, the drink, the uh, longing for the next step, but not the capability to take it. And in many parts, it's because our our world has evolved to be incredibly complex. Hi, Johnny. Uh, and because it is so complex, it isn't like it used to be where you could go out. I mean, at 15 or 16, get a job and actually build a life for yourself. You just can't anymore. It's incredibly hard. So it's all about understanding and indeed capturing the skill set you need to move forward. That's why if uh, uh, Churro is the baby bat, Max is a lovable dumpling of a man, if that makes sense. And it's not like build, it's attitude. Uh, hey, and yeah, you're going to have to work at that. And yep, Johnny is rather famous because he is the inspiration and at times the action giver from when I was doing the live stream on another channel of the campaign you guys are in. And that's why Lord Johnny exists. Uh, that still has to get dealt with, but oh gosh, of course you'll could be converting Max into vampirism. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Uh, and I do hope you have fun with that. Because exploring and finding who you are and then maintaining it in spite of um, others is both a challenge and I believe a necessity for actual adult life. I believe if you're going to do things, uh, it should be matter, and if possible, it should be fun. Someone I very much care about, a relative, used to say, life is a veil of tears, and then you die. And as you age, you will come to understand this. You will grow up knowing this. And I haven't, deliberately. Um, I'm rather spiteful that way. No, no, Churro, you're not throwing glitter into a box fan. That is evil. You really are three kobolds in a trench coat, aren't you, Churro? I'm going to find out that a whole bunch of my dearest friends are just conglomerations of like kobolds and raccoons. But tomorrow I get to have basic practice. I get to see some friends I haven't seen in a very long time in person. I get to get out there and do some fighting. Sunday, I get to spend some time with my brother, my youngest brother, who I haven't gotten to spend a lot of time with. We're going on a minor adventure. Nothing exciting. I'm just taking him thrifting so that he knows where all the thrift shops are that I have found thus far. And I will be questing for things that. But I can only imagine what I am under the hood. Woohoo! But it is important. It seems like I'm off topic here because it's like, wait, Nick, this is your show about sword fighting and armor making and tactics and all that. Why would I, oh God, pardon me, prattle on about this sort of thing? Because this is the core of why we fight. There are only a few reasons to. You fight out of necessity. You train to fight out of fear, out of anger, out of vengeance, out of and out of the desire to protect someone you love. That may be yourself, but I really believe I have carved out a life with training swords. And I believe it's possible because I've done it. And if I can do it with the bevy of limitations and nerfings I have received over the years, yes, there was a nerf pun in there. Have fun with that, y'all. I know you will. We can move forward. We don't need to be defined by that. I believe that there is a sort of golden path in life that will lead us to where we are meant to be. And a great many people stay on the path. But sometimes people get off the path and they kind of get lost in the twilight woods between here and there. And if possible, I try to be there to help them back to the path. That's my gig. That's my secret agenda for those of you who think, I've always said, what are you really up to? What I'm really up to is I want to see these people succeed. And in part because so many have said it's impossible. In part because so many people have told me not to. And in part because I truly believe that someday I will see enough people succeed that I'll think I can do. You know what I mean? But my gig puts me here. It puts me in a place where I can be of service. And I can't leave that place and move on to something else until the service is complete or other appropriate actions are in place. Because I believe the work is more important than the worker. And I know I've been awfully philosophical this time, and I am sorry if that's not what you came for. Next week, I will be talking about tomorrow's practice. I may have some footage. We hopefully will have new materials to go over. And I'm just glad that you guys are willing to come together, once a week on your Friday nights and sit here and chat for a while about the wonder of martial arts. And I lean towards the Western, but I'm also trying to bring everyone together. I have this crazy idea. And I guess it needs to be said, and it needs to be done. And thank you, Dark Moon. I'm glad you love it, because I know the people in the chat. If you are one of the people who is lurking, and I know we have lurkers because I can see the number of people who are in the chat, and I can see the number of people who are watching way up here for me. And two of them right away. Uh, but each one of the people here have shown that they have dramatic capacity to greatness. That there is something inside them that pushes them farther to be more. And if it is within my possibility, I'm sorry, my voice is cutting out. Uh, if it is in my capabilities, that is, to facilitate anything that helps you make that step uh, forward, that next, I might not even get you a full level, I might get you half a level. But the parts that let you see the future that you want, then I'm doing my job. And thank you for the compliments. That is something I've considered trying to get into. I haven't. I am just not at a situation where I can, because, in all honesty, uh, I am the primary caregiver of my son, and I have been fighting since he was, you know, yet to be born, to keep him alive and to keep him safe. And there hasn't been a day where I haven't been doing that fight. So it is very good work. It is very necessary work, but it is very isolating work. And it's the job of a father to be there for the kid, to put their needs where they need to be, that to pursue the idea of kindness and discipline and education and hopefully inspiration. It's more challenging with, well, the challenges we face, but it's also very important that I take time like this and serve beyond my reach. Were it not for this program, there, and my online connections. Let me see. Uh, Trey isn't in here currently, to the best of my knowledge. I think she might pop in and out as she's dealing with the green room. But Trey and Joe would be the only people that I know in, well, Trey, Joe, and actually, Churro, because I met Churro independent of this, and I could have met Sarah independent of this, but I wouldn't be able to help people the way I do without the access to this program. And maybe that's the good I'm supposed to do. I don't know. I do believe there's a plan, and I just try to surrender to the will of the forces greater than me to work towards a greater good. And I'm a sucker. I can't abide a bully, and I cannot stand to see someone be diminished, especially when they're internalizing their own mistreatment. A part of me bleeds for that. So I use the tools I have, usually the sword and the pen, to try to build that up, to try to fight that. Because I want you guys to soar. And I am greedy enough to want a little bit of the light to shine down off of you when you get where you're supposed to be. I just want to see it. And yes, Trey is literally the best woman I know who doesn't share my last name. And that's why the running statements of a platonic polycule thing. Trey and Joey are literally the best people I've ever known. And please don't take just anything negative about that. It's just, I've had about 20 years of having them in my world. And that has helped. So yes, to balance myself out, Churro, that's something I am working on. That's one of my great faults, because I define a large amount of my own existence to being useful and being helpful. I needed certain kinds of people who weren't there. I needed something that just didn't exist. And I call it the Uncle Iroh clause. The Uncle Iroh clause is this. Every group needs an Uncle Iroh from, like, Avatar: The Last Airbender. And if you look around and you can't find an Uncle Iroh, the universe has a habit of making you the Uncle Iroh. And thank you, Dark Moon. There are quite a few individuals who would disagree with you, but I am eternally grateful for your kindness. Oh yeah, I'm sorry about the confusion. Sometimes we call him Joe, sometimes we call him Joey, and he comes under the title of IndieCD and a few other things, but he's awesome. And yeah, that's the trick. It's a mix of knowing that and figuring out what you need in life to prosper, and working towards making that happen. Makes me want to call him Tech Kangaroo just once. You can call Joey Tech Kangaroo. He'd laugh at it. He'd love it. The Nick Field is a real effect. To those of you who aren't accustomed to my online presence, computers, as a rule, short circuit. But yeah, Joey does bounce around. I like that. Tech Wizard, Tech Kangaroo. He can do anything but roll a die. Never seen somebody so unlucky at dice. D&D dice. I should let him use an electronic dice roller and see if it doesn't work better for him. Excuse me. Yeah. But he has done so much in the background, and he will do so much in the background, that we all owe Joe a tremendous debt. All of us streamers. IndieCD is a stroke of brilliance, and it carries on the ground laid by Brian K. Morris's Rising Tide. It's a progression with him. And yes, well, if not, I will tell Joe that you are thanked. He tends to hang out in the green room, which happens to overlap It happens. It happens, Johnny. And remember, the only reason that that wasn't a TPK beforehand, the only reason was I wanted to keep the series going so that they could keep broadcasting it. But when they went to switch over, my schedule switched over, and it just wasn't going to work. And it's sad. I miss them. So if you get to talk to Shay and yeah, my brain's fried. But give them my love. I'm serious. And Sarah, you don't have to be on all the time. That's one thing you gotta learn. Um, when you are fencing, when you're in a sword fight, and you get time where they are out of reach, you are out of reach, that is the time to sort of bleed off the stress. That is the moment you're still paying attention, but you can rest. Don't, when you are not fighting, don't fight. You get what I'm saying? And that applies to life too. The only way I can do all the things I do is because I rest frequently and I've learned when and where I can coast. You understand? Oh, I'm gonna have to vacuum my study. I think all the dust that got kicked up is living in here now. But this is all changing soon. And I know I've been saying that forever, but this is all changing soon. The backdrop's going to go back up. I have racks I'm going to bring in that will either hold weapons or hold. Well, it's going to hold weapons. They just will either be a bunch of Nerf weapons or a bunch of swords or both. And yeah, Allergies of Doom are just absolutely wrecking me right now. But I know this has been a bit of meandering. One, thank you for indulging me. It's also, we're at nearly an hour and a half, and I am starting to. Well, yeah, that was because you were using an app you coded, Joe. And I don't know if you've been lurking enough, but people have said a great many very kind things about you, so you may want to come back and rewatch this. And you no, indulgence is what I am best at providing. That is a fascinating statement, Churro. It's a dangerous statement, but it is a fascinating statement. I appreciate it, but I never want you to feel you need to be a people pleaser for me. I mean, unless that's like who and what you really are, and there are some people like that, and then you need to be kind of paired up with somebody to offset that energy. And we can talk more about that in a setting that isn't quite here. Odd but necessary part of education. High-end hostess energy. Oh, Dark Moon, I'm really glad. And anytime you guys need, if while you're doing your journey to learn the Western martial arts, and that's what I feel. I say the Western because that's what I feel I'm grounded in. Although my philosophy is so shaped by Eastern concepts that it gets interesting. Yeah, one of these days, I'm worried I'm going to get jumped by Sarah and Churro and like given like a crazy goth makeover or something silly. It's like, you will go and do this and you will enjoy yourself. Dang it. But that's not today, sadly. But we have to, I mean, maintain the philosophy and the philosophical side of I understand, Cheryl, of what we do, because there is a fundamental truth in studying any of the martial arts. And what it is studying the martial arts involves a an amount of karmic debt, and it's generated by the fact that the martial arts are at some level a refined understanding of the application of violence. And I think that is my definition of the martial arts, for being real honest. So with that comes the great potential for darkness. So it has to be offset and tempered and balanced with a philosophy of of kindness, of mercy, of grace, of forgiveness. And when you start to study these concepts, it affects the way you fight, and you gain an unexpected strength in what I would consider the yin side of martial arts. You can absorb an attack and go, no, I see your point in this discussion and move you here, and respond thusly instead of just headbutting. Yeah. Uh, but I'm glad to hear that, Thesis and Kitty. I am very glad to hear that there is a philosophical study beforehand. That is part of what I do as I train, but it is tailored usually to the student's needs. Uh, I can mess with you. All I'd have to say is say his name and he appears. But no, no, Nick. Accept the darkness inside. Peace is a lie. There's only passion. Oh wow! You are breaking out the creed of the Sith, Al. You are breaking out the way of Darth Maul. Oh my gosh! Well, I will tell you, I would have never met a Jedi. For all that I appear Jedi like, I am far too willing to embrace that passion and expression are needed. Uh, and it's great to hear from you, Al. The idea, yuck. Anyway, chewing at the bars of my enclosure. Oh, it's always good to see you, Al. Um, we just kind of it started out with me answering a few of the offline questions that people send me between uh, sessions, and it carried over into something interesting, and we ended up in a very philosophical discussion. And it's it's just a place of, well, almost everything I do is mirrored in my style if you pay attention. It's always about building a simple, sturdy foundation so that you can help others. Uh, to Churro on her comments about pie, behave, and to people who may not know, Rex Hood, who I often slip and call Al because that's what I knew him was introduced to him as. It's based off his middle name. Uh, is one of, if not the most talented swordsman I have ever had the privilege to have a hand in his instruction. Uh, he surpassed me many, many, many years ago in the vast majority of styles. He is a fundamentally skillful and brilliant individual. If you ever wondered what the main literally what a main character, someone who at some point will definitely put a mark on history, feels like to be in their presence. Al is and has always been one of those. He's always been on a level and frequency far beyond the vast majority of people that I know. And I'm damn proud to know him. And I'm damned impressed with what he has done. And I continue to be. But random is how we roll. Well, there's a lot of randomness in here. The running joke is much like Shepherd Book, I have heathens aplenty right here. The fact, Al, that you feel the need to respond that way speaks more to the fact that I am correct in my assessment. I know a great many people who would, if I said something like that about them, would beat their chest and revel in the glory of being accepted as they are. But you are a man of intellect and class and taste. And it is a wonder to see what you do. You know, there's going to be a highly caffeinated, sugared up baby bat to watch. Baby bat pinball, right? Fair warning, this is part of enabling. Be prepared. Be prepared. That's why I wear a suit to fence it. That's why you are one of incredibly few people that I had no problem, how do I say this, with the contents of said suit. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Well, you guys will have fun. And it may be at StompCon. It may be at some other convention. I know this year my Halloween's going to be very strange because I will be spent. That's going to make her night. That is absolutely going to make her night. Uh, that's delightful. You didn't ruin it. You bypassed it, and it was brilliant. We have ways of doing that, and that's okay. Uh, I'm due for running something like that. I've been running the same game setting because I've been kind of play testing and tweaking concepts and things for something I want to put out, possibly by StompCon, if I can get in a position to to do it. And yes, it is a good story. But it is a good story, sadly, for another time. And That happens, Churro, especially in that particular campaign. I let my players, a new group of players who were learning to play D&D, I let them play. It was going to be a one shot, a single shot. I gave them characters, over equipped them so that they could have some fun with what could happen. And they ended up playing the most broken form of D&D ever conceived, and I'm still trying to codify it. And yes, in fact, some of those characters may appear in this uh, in this uh, not only this setting, but they may appear next time, depending on how things with your game go. But that's part of what we do. So I'm glad you guys are having fun. And yes, Al is both full of charisma, and when I was designing the characters, I set Al up to be what he is very good at. And without giving too much away, he was very good at it. And I was very pleased. I'm still pleased with the way that particular campaign was set up. I worked very hard on that. It was not nearly as shoot from the hip slapdash as a lot of things I end up doing now. But pretty soon I want to run something similar to that again. And tomorrow I will be running, I'll be sword fighting and having a grand old time, should everything work properly. That's what we're going to aim for. So with that, you guys are having fun. No stuff there. I am stories. Oh, Sarah, you know I love the drow. I mean, you know I love the drow. Yeah. Joe's the one who's responsible for the Jobok Techno Union because he rolls so bad he infects dice. But, guys, I really do actually have to close up the stream. I'm sorry. I am having an absolute blast having gotten remarkably off topic and into gaming. But sometimes we need that. I, however, desperately need to get something to eat because I'm just a bit low blood sugar. So, with that, guys, do your drills, keep your guard up, be kind to yourself and to others. And as always, thank you for supporting your local swordmaster. I will be back next week. I will hope I hope to have videos and fun things for you guys. And yes, I do desperately need to eat, so I am glad you all enjoyed what I do. And I will see you all very soon. You know what? I usually say this at the end of my other show, but I love you and you should too. Toodles.